Hi, this is we'll call it episode 3 of the Mini Gig Talk podcast series. And if you are new to this video or to this series, really what I do is on the way home from a gig or on the way to a gig, I pretty much just talk about different subject matters, music related. And most of them are just like advice, because these are kind of topics that I wish that I had maybe somebody tell me about, or something maybe that I've learned over time that I can share with you guys. And I figured that today's video, what I could really be doing is giving you guys a handful of tips on ways to ensure that you get booked time and time again. And these are going to be tips beyond just playing a good show, because I know everybody knows that. You know, if you play a really good solid show and you bring in people or you bring in a crowd, odds are you're going to be able to get rebooked time and time again with a venue. That's the primary thing. But what are some smaller things that you could do to hopefully elevate your chances? And these are some things that I've heard other musicians say that they do, and I thought they were great ideas, and now I do them. Or they're just things that I've maybe just kind of figured out on my own, and I thought they'd be great things to implement, and I'm going to share them with you guys today. And it's a bit of a hot day today, so I do have the AC a bit high, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. But the very first thing that I would say that you want to make sure that you do, first and foremost, is make the show as easy on the venue as you can. And that's some advice that I had learned from somebody else when I was much newer to performing live, and it always kind of stuck with me. You know, think about it. If you're playing a show and you and you have all these requests for the owner or the manager, or you have 20 questions, or you expect this or that, and you're just making it a lot tougher on maybe the staff or the management or the owners, or sending a bunch of emails back and forth, those little things add up, and you might not think of it as a big deal, but who are they going to go with? If you have two musicians that both do a good job, both bring in a crowd like they're supposed to, but one is kind of needy, needs a lot of attention, asks a ton of questions, makes it tough on the venue, or again, the staff, or a musician that comes in, brings backup sets of gear and extension cords, doesn't worry about anything, does a great job, sets up, tears down quickly, very professional, and just leaves. What owner or manager is going to turn that guy or that girl down in that sense, right? So you always want to make it as easy on the venue as possible. There's even times where a venue, I've had this happen, where they just start live music, and maybe you're one of the first or the first person to perform, and they're a little weary, and they're kind of like, oh, this is what we're thinking, this is what we're hoping that happens. Again, you're the professional if you're performing live. So what I always do is I say, don't worry about it, it'll be a great show, I've got it under control. Leave it at that. And that goes a really long way, just kind of making sure that you come off as professional, but you're making the situation for that show as easy as possible. Again, because they know that they can rely on you to do a great job and just be in and out. And that's really what your job's all about. Now, the next thing that I would say you could do, you don't have to do this, but I find that it's important to an extent, is if you play a new venue or a recurring one, it doesn't matter. I mean, I do it after every one of my shows. It's just kind of a good thing. You could take a $5 bill, a $10 bill, a $20 bill, whatever you want from your tip jar, and you could bring it to the manager and just say, I'd like to give you guys this, the staff has been really helpful this evening for me. Maybe they went and got you food to take home. Maybe they were really helpful with, different things. I always do that. I always take usually, like I said, a $5 or $10 bill, and I bring it to the manager and I say, this is for you guys. If you can divide it amongst yourselves, I know it's not much, but I just want to say the staff did a great job and I really appreciate it. That's something that I never heard anybody do, but I think it's a really good thing. And I think a lot of these examples are things that it just leaves a good taste in the venue or the ownership's mouth, I guess you could say, because everything went well. You're very professional, and you did a gesture that they weren't expecting, and they're going to remember that, and the staff will remember that, and that's a great way to build relationships with the staff. Or you can bring it to a staff member, and they'll put a good word in or whatever. I think that's a very good idea. Again, it doesn't have to be a $20 bill. I'm just throwing that out there. You can do something a little bit less, but it's all about the gesture. Another thing that you could do, and I do this all the time, even if it's a show that I've been playing, recurring for a long time, is I make sure to ask, again, whoever the manager is, maybe there's an owner there that night, if there's anything that they want me to promote during the show, whether that's an event that's taking place, whether that's something that they want people to maybe try on the menu, or a new dish on the menu, or new drinks. It could be anything like that. I find that that's something that everybody should do regardless. So some of these examples you don't have to do, you can do, it's again up to you, but I do this every time because, one, it shows that you're wanting or willing to work as a team. I've said that in my last Gig Talk episode, all about really working as a team with these venues is going to go a long way. That should be the mindset. It shouldn't be all about me. It should be all about what can we do, and that goes a long way. Building relationships and being somebody that these venues can rely on. So it can be as quick as just asking that simple question: is there anything you would like me to promote tonight for the venue? I can do it throughout the show. I can do it before my break, whatever it may be. That's always a really good thing. I think that's something that everybody should do. And I say every single show I do this because, you never know if there is something one week where a venue's like, oh, there's nothing that you need to promote today, don't worry about it. But then there is something, you never know. So I just make it a habit. I think that you should too. I think it's a good idea. And another thing is going to be crowd engagement. And I guess with this one, sure, you are obviously putting the crowd front and center with this one, but the venue sees it. They see these things, they hear these things, they see that you put in the effort. One thing that I do, I know not all performing musicians do this, it depends on your circumstance, but I take requests. And, I'll mention this, maybe 2, maybe 3 times tops per night. I'll mention that I'm taking requests if anybody has any. And the reason is crowd engagement. If you, again, are working with the venue, with the owners, with the management, but you're also really working the crowd because they're there to have a good time, have a good experience, and hear great music, it's like you're really involving everybody in your own way. And I'm not saying you have to take requests. If you're a cover band, say you're like a Leonard Skinner cover band, you're obviously most likely not going to take requests for, something that's way out of that lane. So, it might not be that exactly, but if you are maybe a solo act that plays a bunch of covers and you're very versatile with what you do and you don't already take requests, if you have enough songs, it's something that I definitely would recommend because, again, the management might hear over the announcement that you're taking requests, and again, not everybody does it, so it can be something that kind of puts you in your own category of someone just to kind of keep an eye out for in a good way, that the management can kind of think about. So those are a few examples about things that you can easily do or implement to ensure, the little things that you can definitely do or implement to ensure that you get booked time and time again. Again, it's all about working as a team. I said that in the last episode of this, but not only that, it's kind of thinking or getting into the mindset beyond, oh, I'm just the performer tonight. It's, what if I was the management? What if I was the owner of this venue or the staff? What would I want to hear? What would I like to hear? If I was hiring somebody for live music, what are some qualities that I want them to make sure that they have that will be good for everybody? The owners or the management, the performer, and the people at the venue listening in. Right? It's all about that. And I didn't think this way early on. I think at the time I was probably so focused on just doing my best and crossing my fingers that my equipment was working well that day, because maybe I was playing cheaper equipment at the time. I didn't really think about these things. But when you start playing bigger, better, nicer places, and you really want to hold on to these gigs that are well paying, or venues that, you know, want to book you 3-4 times a month, you really want to hold on to these gigs. And how can you do that? And how can you separate yourself from others and do the best job possible? And I think it's these examples. So again, these took me a long time to kind of learn, figure out myself, but I would definitely implement them if you're a live performer. It could be anything. It could be a band, it could be a duo or a trio act or a solo act. Doesn't matter. I think these are all kind of universally known. But I know this video was pretty quick and to the point today. If you guys do like videos like this and you want to see more, I really do enjoy doing these videos. I'm on my way home from a show right now. So I always, again, when I'm on my way home from a show or to a show, I always have all these thoughts about music. I think my mind is just in that zone. So I think it's a good time to kind of talk to the camera. And I have a list of all these podcast ideas that I want to do here on the channel like this. But if you guys have any questions or anything that you want to discuss, or even just want to make some comments on today's video, definitely leave a comment. And if you like content like this and you want to support the channel directly, just consider subscribing, and I'll be coming out with guitar-related content every week, whether it's something like this, or if it's guitar lessons, or if it's all sorts of footage. So again, if you like videos like this, just make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.